Yes. Hello, my friends. It's Andy coming to you live from Orange County, California, and with a rare guest on the political show, Hedia Miramati.
Hello, everyone. It's me again.
Reluctantly, she comes on. A little bit reluctant.
A little bit.
I was in the shower and...
Alone.
Yeah. I was there scrubbing away where I do some of my best thinking is in the shower. And I go, why am I not talking about this subject?
It's very open-hearted of you.
And I needed you because I was responding to a post that I had that was getting some comments. And I was responding, and you said something in the kitchen. It said, "Hey, why don't you do?" I just wrote something very similar to that. But then you came over and saw it and said, "Yeah, but really, this whole thing could have been." No, your words about the post.
About the post.
So
explain your post first.
Yeah, the post is I do this thing, and I'm not gonna go into detail yet because I want her to say, and then I'll tell my side of the story. That was not.
We had two different sides of the story?
It's really not. In Los Angeles, or in California. I'm sorry. In California, they have decided that they are going to release. Hold on, I got to find the post. I don't want to be talking and ums and all that kind of stuff. As I do. Wow, we have a lot of posts since this last thing came up. I don't even know how people are even seeing it. Potatoes, baked potatoes, getting hit in the crotch by a baseball. Wow, how long ago was this post?
No, it's before. Oh yeah, because yours are in order.
Son of a gun. Happy New Year. Well, I forgot it. But anyway, they're going to parole early those convicted of child pornography, which to me is horrendously satanic.
I agree.
To reduce the criminality of pornography of children, which essentially is child molestation. Also, those go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
You know, you can't minimize it by saying, well, it's only those that look at the pictures. Without people looking at the pictures, you don't have the molestation. So anyway, I get motivated greatly to make an impact on that subject matter. So I said, there are the stupid or dumb or moronic, satanic Democrats doing it again, because those are the people that are voting for this stuff. We've already had it in a couple areas in regard to 290 registrants are sex offenders who have to register where they're living, and they can't live within a certain distance of a school and some other stuff. And it's mandatory that they register as a 290 registrant. And they've now in California minimize have reduced the chance that somebody that's convicted of getting that 290 registrant. They've allowed judges to decide, well, you're not that bad of a rapist. You don't need to register as a sex offender, not just a child,
terrible, right?
not just a sex offender. The judges get to decide. If you have a really good attorney who has a lot of money, he can say, let's not have that. We'll plead to raping a child as long as we don't have the 290 registrant, and the judges can do that.
Yeah,
where before it was mandatory. So this is all horrific stuff. We should not be reducing the punishment of sex crimes, especially when it involves children. We should be increasing the punishment for this type of crime. So that was my post. My post says stupid, dimwits, moronic Democrats. That's what it said. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. And then you saw the post and you saw some of the reaction to it, and you suggested to me.
Well, I mean, I took a biblical perspective, which is we hate the sin and not the sinner. And we are called to operate in love and strength and truth and power. And so there are things in society and immorality that Jesus says that he hates. And we can hate those things and we could publicly speak against those things. But I think you could talk about the issues without insulting the adherents of the issues, meaning the people who basically you're condemning an entire group of people by the actions of the legislation or a couple that are imposing the legislation or changing the rules, or the public spokesman, the leaders are elected officials, and you're blaming the Democrats as a whole, which is something they do to us all the time, which they're like, you don't want homosexual marriage, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe. Like, wait, why are you resorting to name calling? Let's just talk about the issue of what is the status of marriage. But they never want to talk about the issues, they want to resort to name calling. So from a biblical perspective, and I think also from the point of a political argument, we don't need to attack the speaker we need to attack the issue
Hmm.
and be able to argue intelligently for why the policy is bad.
I love that. That one thing I love is that you come up and say, "Hey, listen, this is what," and it's a great discussion, by the way.
Oh,
And that's not just because it's early in our relationship, because there's a way to have, there's a way of having a discussion about something that is especially wow, I just had another stroke. Especially that. I mean, I was a sex crimes detective at Anaheim Police Department. I investigated these things. I was trained in San Luis Obispo at sex crime school, where they actually have to show you pictures and show you these things, what to look for, how they hide it. The monetary aspect of sex, child sex crimes in relationship to pornography and that kind of stuff. That it is a business, but we're not talking that it's just casual.
And you're passionate about this issue.
But when you see it, and when you actually talk to a 6-year-old that was raped, which I have had to through an interviewer who's trained to do that kind of thing at a place called Cast, that when you see it, there's nothing good you could say about it. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It is horrendous. I've had to live with it, some of the stuff. I actually got out of sex crimes because I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't stand it anymore. And I was interviewing my last suspect, who told me more about what he did to the 6-year-old than the 6-year-old told us.
Oh,
and then he told me how he was raised, and I felt bad for him because he was saying, "Hey, this is how I was raised, and this is what happened to me." And he went through step 1, step 2, step 3, and then his life, as growing up as a child, from probably 2 years of age, he was molested and raped.
Oh.
And now here he was doing the same thing to a 6-year-old. And now I feel bad for him, but I hate him and I want him to die for doing what he did. And I feel bad for the 6-year-old. And I said, "Sarge, I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore."
And imagine if you were in your Holy Spirit walk at the time, if you were able to offer Jesus Christ and salvation and redemption to him, it could have been a life-changing moment. So in order to have forgiveness in our hearts, we have to remember that we are forgiven, and it's very difficult. But there are opportunities in our life that we hope will rise for us to practice that kind of forgiveness.
So I respect what you said and enjoyed the discussion.
Thank you.
And understand your perspective.
Thank you.
But
but I shall do as I see fit. Which is fine.
Not really.
That's
not really. I will take, because there's some that maybe I shouldn't do that on. But this is one I felt strongly that I should. And here's the reason why: is because you know me now. We're coming up. We're going into our 6th month together. You're learning more about the way I use social media. Probably is that I literally use social media. I use it to gain audience.
Yes. And
not that I love sharing some of the stuff, but it gains traction. People watch, people participate, and then I'll throw in a zinger. And then I'll pull people in, and then I throw in a zinger. And there's different kinds of posts that I just want to bring awareness of something that's going on. And there's another type of post like this one that I want to cause chaos and a reaction and
shock and awe.
Yeah. And a discussion. And that's exactly what this did.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I know the few people that are Democrats. See how nice I was? I didn't add anything before Democrats.
Yes, exactly.
That are Democrats that get riled up very easily, and they will cause a whole discussion. You see how it blows up.
Absolutely. And some of your friends had some very compelling defenses of you, which was awesome.
Yeah. I
don't know if Carl's on right now, but he had some really great comments.
I love Carl.
Yes.
If I hadn't met you, I might ask Carl to get a divorce. I love Carl. He has some great things to say. And not just about me, but he has great responses. He finds certain scriptures and time to time and that kind of stuff. We're going to get to the Christian part in just one second. But the dimwits and the names I use of dimwit Democrats and morons and that kind of stuff, I know that it's not very nice. I know that it's going to cause reaction, and it's purposeful in that regard. And I don't know that post would have got as much attention if I just look what these guys are doing, because I've done stuff like that. Look what's happening in our state, right? I don't call Democrats out. Just look what's happening in our state. This is horrible. That people are going to go, yeah, it's horrible, and then have sad faces or angry faces and that kind of stuff. It wouldn't get the reaction. So there's number one.
Yes.
Number two, I mean what
I do
I
have a response to number one.
Okay.
Though.
Okay. Number two, I mean what I say. They're stupid.
And there you have it.
And it's across the board Democrats. I am sorry. And I love what you said, and I want to hear what you have to say also on this other topic. But you can, they say, well, I don't. One of the responses was, I don't vote for these policies. Well, here in California, you don't vote for these policies. You're voting for Gavin Newsom. You're voting for Adam Schiff. You're voting for Nancy Pelosi. You're voting for a number of these people. The DA in L.A. The DA, he was a DA in San Francisco where he did the same thing. And it's the voting of these people. And they go, well, did you vote for these people? Yeah, I voted for those people. Well, those are the people that are creating this policy.
Right.
And you're doing it over and over and over again. And again, we'll get the Christian part in a minute. But that aspect alone is that you can see what they're doing, and yet you're still doing it. You can see homelessness is increasing by these policies, and yet you're still voting in the same people, and you're encouraging it. Yeah. And instead of looking at the individual policies. Third thing and last thing, and then I'll let you say what you wanted to say, is that almost every time, and included on this one, I warn people, I want to hear your opinion without bringing our president in, this administration. I tried not to even say, I'd say, try not to bring in our administration. And yet, well, you're just a Trumpster. Oh, and it ruins the whole thing, because to me, that's even more stupid, that you're voting. You could care less about what happens to children, as long as it's not something that may even show the inclination that you go for Trump. Voting against something in regard to child pornography or that kind of stuff always ends up going to, well, that's because President Trump is president and he's dividing the country and he's a racist. And what does that have to do with the topic?
Well, but you open the door to that because you call them moronic Democrats who vote for these things. So once you criticize the entire party, the response is going to be, well, your party has done X, Y, and Z, which I think is actually fair in light of the fact that you've insulted the party. If you kept the discussion to the legislation, you'd be able to fairly argue, wait, why are you bringing the administration? I'm talking to you about these policies. Do you support these policies? Because they're satanic and they're demonic. But I just think that when you're in a mudslinging contest, you can't say, I get to sling it, but I'm not going to take it.
Oh, well, I've never said I enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a fair fight. It's a fair fight.
I leave a little door open every so often just to see if they're going to step through the door, and
yes,
I never do. There's a guy named Mike Savak or something like that. He's crazy. I love that guy. He falls for it every time. I'll leave a little bit of a crack open, and he steps right through it. Just because then he goes off with these tirades. It's wonderful. I actually do, but I do enjoy. There's a part of it I do. It's kind of a little bit of a game, but I do enjoy that part of it. But it brings attention to this thing, and I got to tell you, there's been a few people that have slightly converted based on some of these discussions. I'm not going to name them right now, but they're actually on this thread. They used to be way more left, and now I see them coming more center as they go, you know what, he's had a point.
Well,
you can see it and I'm not going to point out who, but there's somebody in there I can clearly see. Like earlier, they would have been totally on the other side. I guess you can call it sides. They would have been on the other side, but now they're like, well, you're kind of right.
Well, I mean, I think the issues you point to are profoundly important. So, I mean, the legislation issue, the other things that the DA of LA is doing. I mean, I think that you're drawing attention to seriously important issues, especially for California. So the question is, could you have converted people without insulting the entire pool of people? My guess is I think you could. I think you could have made the point by just calling attention to just how, and you can say, if you support these policies, you're supporting the rise of immorality and Satanism and, demonic influences in our country. I think you can very clearly say that if you support these policies, then you are supporting something that's demonic. But I think it was more of the blanket statements of just calling them all idiots or moronic or whatever that slightly controversial. But who am I?
Yeah. Well, you've just become my social media person. So here's my idea. You type it up and you send it out as me, and make it a little bit nicer. Nobody's commenting. Right? Everybody's just like, we have viewers, just nobody commenting. This is one of those times where they go, you know what? I'm just going to say it. It's kind of like you, like, really? You want me to come on? I normally don't go on your political things. Though this is truly a discussion. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. I don't know who's watching. Probably some of the people from the post are watching.
I'm curious if Carl's out there.
Yeah, if Carl's watching. There we go, Valerie.
Here, Valerie.
So crazy how people don't see the demonic side.
True.
So what is worse? So this is going to be my next thing as we get into the Christian versus Democrat thing. And I purposely did that too, because it really is an issue that I want to ask you about. So, but let's talk about what is worse to call somebody satanic and demonic or dumb.
I don't know. I don't know which one's worse.
Because Valerie was bringing. I mean, she didn't know I was going to say this, but she said it's demonic. I mean, really, the molestation of children is satanic. I mean,
Yes.
there's no other name for it.
Absolutely. Even like abortion, it's like a child sacrifice.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The abortion. Blah blah blah.
late term abortion.
Late term abortion. Blah blah. Yeah, like, they're killing babies at the 9th month.
Yeah.
Well, they're only doing it if the mom's sick. Listen, those are completely different issues. Right? You think what they say, 364 babies are killed every day due to an abortion.
Yes.
At all different terms.
Yes.
Like early on to as late in New York, it could be as late as 9 months.
Yes.
And so you're not going to tell me that all of those were the same to save the mother's life. All 364 that happened today, those are all to save the mother's life. Very unlikely. Just like it's unlikely that Biden got 80 million more votes than like
than Obama even, or like some crazy statistic.
It's just the dumbest thing on the planet. See, that's where I go.
But it's dumb. You didn't call a person dumb. You say that's the dumbest thing on the planet. It's the dumbest thing. It's not calling people dumb. It's calling the concept dumb.
Who is causing all that to happen?
People.
Democrats.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some non-party affiliated people that did it too.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, how do you feel when the labels are reversed, honestly? When they say that we're homophobic racists, how does that?
I don't go on their Facebook and comment.
No, we don't. I mean,
I just go,
sure.
You're an idiot. I mean, but my whole show actually really started, this whole concept of the Andy Falco show, going from the Facebook Live TV show, which it used to be called, when I began to talk about political things, was because of the lie of law enforcement being systemically racist, which is completely untrue. It's been proven not. It's FBI did research. I mean,
yes.
Oh, you're part of
yeah. We did the research on that.
And when they don't even know what systemic means, it means the entire system is racist. At Anaheim Police Department, 21 years at Anaheim Police Department, you heard racist things said in the locker room from time to time, or in jokes and that kind of stuff, but actions taken against people on the street was I never saw anything racist where they beat somebody because he was black, or beat somebody because they were Mexican,
right,
or anything like that, and said, "Hey, you N-word," and then kicked them in the face. In my 21 years, I didn't see it. So if I didn't see it in 21 years, and I'm in a pretty active police department in Orange County, that means it's not systemic, because it's not the entire police across the board. And so back to your question, calling me a racist, that I've been called a Nazi, I've been called a baby killer, I've been called all these things. But what I do is I respond with them with facts and the reasons why that's not true, or a research study, or an article, or whatever, that I come back with it to show that what you're saying is wrong. I don't get all offended and say, "Stop calling me names. Stop it." I just say, "So I'm racist? Okay, well, how about this?" And then I go into all the reasons why, but with stats, not with
emotion.
Yeah.
Wham! Should I call the ambulance?
Late term abortion. Blah blah blah. Like, who cares? You're killing baby. Like, oh, that was a good response. Oh, you're a Trumpster. From the very same people. Like, how do you get? I've never gotten to that. I just say, "Oh, you're an idiot because you can't read." Because here is a study. I'll send you the study. I tell people, I will message you the study that says that this isn't true.
Yeah.
And so there's the difference that I feel when they call me names, and I think that happens with a lot of Republicans and conservative Christians, is that we get attacked and we go, "Oh, okay, well, that's not true because and here's the research, here's the biblical reference, here's as I did on this case too, like talked about, Jesus Christ being crucified, that the Bible and other studies that I've read said that not the people that just beat him and spit on him and kicked him and did all and threw dirt in his face, whatever they did, are not only guilty of, just the sin of all the abuse. That's the best word. The abuse of Jesus Christ. The people that were simply standing there watching and did nothing were just as guilty because they did nothing. And so that's kind of how I feel Democratic voters are, that they're watching all this stuff happen because of their party. I'm not saying, going to even say mostly, because of their party, and they're doing nothing about it.
Right.
So that's where I get to so that's where I get to the satanic. So that's why now we to the satanic part. Biblically, people were saying, you do all these Christian shows and yet you're calling people stupid and moronic. And yeah. But they were saying, well, Jesus and the Bible and God are just about love.
No.
Have you read the Bible?
Yeah. It's a pretty gruesome, gory book. Me and my friends say that all the time. Have you read the Bible? Because it's pretty gory.
Yeah. God says he hates all kinds of things. I looked it up. I can't remember how many times he says he hates something, but he says he hates something. Hating, like if God said, I hate you, would you be more offended at that or that I called you stupid? Like, so you can't say the Bible is so much nicer and lovelier because there are things that God simply hates. Child molestation would be one of those things. Murder is one of those things. Theft is one of those things.
Yes.
Right. Idolatry is one of those things.
Yes.
And so views on as a Christian, am I going too far on the Christian side, not just on a post and getting the reaction? I mean, on a Christian side of things, again, and that's why I asked the question about satanic, because it's satanic to vote for people that are going to put in legislation like this one about child pornography.
So can I read a passage of scripture that I think talks about?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Colossians 3:13. Therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, put on tender mercies, kindness, humility, meekness, long-suffering, bearing with one another and forgiving one another. And if any of you has a complaint against one another, even as Christ forgave you, so you must also do. So, and he says specifically, as the elect of God, holy and beloved. So in other words, those that are trying to walk as the elect, as the royal priesthood, as sons and daughters of Christ, there's an expectation of a certain amount of holiness and righteousness. And that's why I told you, I was like, well, if you want to be right, and you're like, I don't need to be right. And I was like, well, if you want to be righteous, if you want to be righteous in your response, regardless of the outcome, like, I don't care whether they still throw mud, but as long as you're walking in righteousness and you're speaking truth to power and letting them know that what they're doing is demonic, then the response doesn't matter. What matters only is that you're right with God and you're speaking truth, especially when it's a biblical truth. But when you put on the mantle of a servant of God, then people have higher expectations.
I know.
And we've seen that in other aspects of our lives, haven't we?
Where?
Well, in our personal relationship,
Yes.
people are always calling us to the mat. Like, what are you guys doing? And, you're behaving yourselves. And I'm like, oh my God, should we get t-shirts? Yeah, we are, so.
It's not easy.
Yeah. There's expectations when you hold yourself out as somebody that's talking about the Bible.
I felt so good yesterday when Jack Hibbs, our pastor at Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, called them a bunch of buffoons. I go, oh, thank God. I thought I was okay.
Yeah, so there you go. Is that he called them buffoons, and is a moron worse than a buffoon? I don't think so. No. I think buffoon and moron are pretty similar. Yeah.
Buffoon means you're stupid. Moron means you're stupid.
Yes. So.
And he did it in a room of 3,000, maybe 3,000 people in the room. And possibly tens of thousands of people on the internet. And
for sure.
That's
if not a million or more that'll see the video. So.
And I think he thinks about every word. So I want to ask him what I would sure love to ask him about this.
Well, one of your post peoples were like, what would Pastor Jack say to the fact that you talk about his sermons and you post his sermons and then you talk with that potty mouth, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, what would he say if somebody showed him a video and said, or a post and said, this is what he's saying? I don't know. I don't know, but considering he called them buffoons, that he probably would be like, yes. And I told you, and I have a friend of mine who's really a strong preacher and goes out and evangelizes at abortion centers. And he's like, your man is a mighty man of God. He's like, he is not afraid. He is so bold from Jesus Christ and the gospel. He's like, I love it. So I know there's people out there who love it. And I think it's just also based on each of our temperaments, where if we hear certain things, we're like, ooh, I wish you wouldn't say that. But you have to follow the voice of the Holy Spirit within you.
Yeah.
And I suggest you pray about it too.
I will. But I'm not calling them stupid ass MFers or anything like that. I mean, it's just like
Yes.
Dimwit Democrats is my favorite.
Yes.
Because it flows. So maybe I'll try harder. Mm-hmm. I'll see what the response, but I know. Yeah. See, I already what I'm challenged with, how do I get the same thread? Because I love the long threads of discussion and here. Oh, I didn't talk about the very last. That's not probably the last thing. We'll probably talk about something else. But the last thing is, who I'm mostly speaking to are the people on the fence, not the people like the Marks or he's Savak or something like that. He's very good for allowing me to respond in a way that if there's somebody on the fence that's reading it, that they will have good information, right? I don't make a big, long comment for the person that I'm arguing with. That's not who it's for.
Right.
It's for the people that are kind of like people that are watching. There's people that are watching, but not commenting. I only have 2 people commenting, Valerie and Barbara, but we have other people watching. And so why are they just watching and not commenting, right? They're either trying to learn or trying to find stuff to use to maybe help them with an argument. Who knows why they're not engaging?
Sure.
Right. And so that's what happens on posts too. People are kind of reading, but they're not engaging. And it may be because they're kind of on the fence and they're really not sure where to be. And then that's why I go into detail about, listen, when you just see I can't find the stinking post, but it was a picture. Oh, then look at us. We look so good together. I'm so lucky. You make me look. Oh man, people are going to vomit. Where is that post? Did it get taken down by Facebook? They may have seen all the arguments. I can't find it. Hold on. I know how to find it. It's not there. Here, it's going to be.
There you go.
I don't know what she said. Oh, no, it has to do with Kaiser. You go to super spreader events. You don't wear a mask.
Such a funny comment. You go to super spreader events. I'm like, what is that?
What is a super spreader event? Okay. Oh, so it has a gavel and a man with a pen, right? Yes. That's not going to, again, one of my problems with this article, here, I'll share it on the screen so you guys can see it, just in case you're not aware of what we're even talking about. I'll get rid of this, the frame. So here's what the picture is in the article. Let me get rid of the frame. And as you can see, it's a judge possibly signing a paper and a gavel talking about child pornography, releasing criminals early to be paroled. Parole means stuff. I'm being Christian. It means nothing. It's such a nothing thing, but nothing is going to cause anybody. You're going to scroll past that if you're looking.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know what you could put, but it's not that. A man in handcuffs, like a really creepy looking guy that that guy's a child molester. Like the picture of that guy, right. Something else that's not going to evoke reaction. But my name calling, and that's why I call it the art of name calling, is to get people actually to go, oh, what is this? And they start reading it, and they may not read it unless I have. And I know I'm justifying it, but I'm really serious about this action of being strong languaged, the art of name calling to get people to engage and look at what's going on in our country, what's happening in California, because we're not going to get it from the media. The media minimizes anything that shows stuff like that, and they try to hide it and bury it in other stories and that kind of stuff, and it's simply not going to get the reaction. My words, will get a reaction of 20 or 30 people, maybe. I don't know how many people have looked at it since then, but and then the thread increases the chance that it'll be seen by other people.
I hear you.
So I'm just doing my job as a Christian. I'm doing God's work. No?
I don't want to say. I don't.
What you say off camera?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it just depends on what your calling is, I guess. Like, I've just never been a fan of smash mouth politics, and for me, it's not about the fame or notoriety or a big thread. It's about walking in the light and having God look down and say, "This is my daughter with whom I am well pleased." And I want him to be able to say that anytime he looks down at me.
All right. So last thing, Christian versus Democrat. Can what?
Can you be a Democrat and a Christian?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think you could be true to biblical values and still be true to the Democratic Party. I think that they are a policy that stands for things that are clearly demonic.
Somebody says they don't vote for the policies and they're a proud Democrat.
Yeah, I mean, they need to take a civics class because they don't understand what it means to belong to a party or to vote. You know, I mean, what do you mean you don't vote for legislation? What are you voting for? Because you elect a representative to enact legislation. They need to watch those Schoolhouse Rocks. I'm just a bill sitting on Capitol Hill because obviously they don't understand how it works.
That was so good. Go more.
I'm just a bill sitting on. I don't remember the other word.
Conjunction, junction. What's your function? Yeah. All right. It's so nice to date somebody almost my own age.
Almost.
Yeah.
I'm like a decade.
Behind. A decade. Yeah. A decade.
A decade.
Yes. A decade. When did a decade become?
What? It's a decade.
Oh, whatever.
Ish.
Whatever. All right, back to the Democrat Christian version. Yeah, it's impossible. It's just impossible for a Democrat to be Christian. The pastor the pastor that you have to put quotes that's running in Georgia, who says he's a pro-choice pastor.
Yeah. Actually, you know, this issue, especially about gay marriage and about homosexuality, is coming up in the Trump movement because there are homosexual groups that are saying they're conservative and they're Trump followers. And I've watched videos where they're getting into it with some of the Proud Boys. And the Proud Boys argument is like, you cannot be a homosexual and support conservatism because it's clearly against biblical values. And it's to me a fascinating article argument because again, we hate the sin, not the sinner. So there can be people who are like, if you treat homosexuality like an addiction, it's a lust, it's a sin that they're committing that they cannot be freed from. They are not freed from yet, but that doesn't mean we cannot love on that person and try to bring them closer to Christ so they can give up that addiction. Whether it's gambling, lust, adultery, pornography, homosexuality, they're giving into a lust of the flesh that God, abhors. But does that mean we ban them from the party? I don't think so. But the question is, how do you make space for that stays true to our values and what we're putting forth as Christian biblical conservative values?
One of my favorite things to look at on the Walk Away movement, the Facebook page, is those that are, gay, especially from the Black community, coming to the Walk Away page and telling their story, saying, well, I'm so tired of the Democrats claiming that they care about us and our rights, and they've done nothing. They talk a lot about doing it. And they blame the Republicans for it, but the Republicans are the only ones that are doing anything about it in relationship to, especially the Black community.
Absolutely. For minorities, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for that. I love that.
Oh,
so much.
Thank you.
I was thinking about, over the last several months during the rioting and, the looting and that kind of stuff. And then after the RNC at Washington at the White House, as people were leaving, we saw, to me, they're all Democrats, Black Lives Matter, Antifa. So I just say Democrats.
Anarchists.
Yeah. Are grabbing hats off of people's heads and running away from them. They are grabbing flags away from Americans, or the American flag away from Americans, and then using the pole to hit them and then they're running away from it.
Horrible.
They're then burning the flag on the ground. And you never see you don't see any cuffs going on any of those people.
No.
And yet today, one of the Proud Boys takes
The founder.
The founder takes I don't know what he did. I didn't see
He took a BLM flag off a black AME church in DC.
And he got arrested.
And sued.
The Democrats are pulling down statues. The malicious mischief, felony malicious mischief. And well, later he said that Trump said he signed the law that they were going to get 10 years.
Right.
Then it stopped.
But before that, they broke a lot of them. Yeah.
But
crazy.
But Proud Boys takes one Black Lives Matter flag.
Yeah.
And he gets arrested. That's why it's so hard not to call him names.
I know it's hard.
Because it's true. There's no argument. You never saw any argument against it. The post is about child pornography.
Yes.
Nothing really about how horrible that is. Right? They didn't say there was nothing wrong with it. It was all about just by name calling. So it's never about the subject matter. It's always about other stuff that has nothing to do with the true problem, the demise of our society through the change of these laws and the essential legalization of such things as child pornography.
But I would love for you to expand on that. Like, why isn't your entry about how destructive this is to our society and how disgusting it is? And the experience, like the stuff you wrote in your responses should have been in your intro. They were brilliant.
Brilliant?
Yes, brilliant. I find you so brilliant.
All right. I will cut and paste those into the post, and I'll make separate posts. Of course, you're right. I mean, you're right. It's just, it's hard to change.
Priscilla's like, call it like it is, brother. They're idiots.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm not right.
I'm not saying that I'm going to be able to change. I'm saying it's going to be hard to change. I'm going to be more thoughtful, but I really do believe when I want to get out of rise people, my strategy has always worked. It has never failed me.
I don't think it ever will, because it's sensationalism. It never fails.
Especially when I know I'm right. The thing is, I surely don't do it when I'm iffy, right? Because it's things that happen at the border. I know what happens at the border. I have so many cases at the border where I've been involved with and that kind of stuff. And people say stupid things about the border, about children being put in dog crates and stuff like that. I say, but I was just at the border 2 weeks ago. Like, that's not happening. Or sex crimes, because I was in sex crimes, or anything related to police canines and use of force, because I speak on those as an expert on court. It doesn't mean I'm always right, but I tend to have a background where I feel fairly confident that I may be wrong, but I doubt it. So I loved it when I found that. And
sound effects too.
Yes, sound effects. We had some good sound effects that we found today.
Yes.
We're going to put those into the show. Hey, tomorrow I'm getting a package. It's going to bring a whole new podcasting platform. Thanks to Hedia for my birthday. When did I become Jesus Christ? For Jesus's birthday, she bought me a whole podcasting platform. I cannot wait.
So excited.
She had it on Christmas, or it came a day after Christmas. But the on-off button wouldn't work, so we had to send it back. So I cannot wait to share the new set with you guys as we set that up. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. Thank you for coming. I know you're reluctant, and you're going, what do you put in? My friends are watching. They're going to maybe not like you if you say something.
No. It's always a pleasure.
And we really do have these discussions off camera. We do. We have these discussions and get into it. And sometimes I just think that it's just good to come on camera and talk about it. Because it's good topical stuff. It's good topical information that people want to hear.
Valerie's.
I believe that's why, as Christians, we need to stay in prayer. Absolutely.
Amen. Now more than ever, because the left is right and the right is left. And it's so hard to know where to walk, where to plant our feet. And we need to stay in prayer. Absolutely.
And my cousin Barbara, she's so good for you.
Oh, thank you, Barbara. Someone else on one of our Facebook posts told me that I have performed a miracle, and I was a little concerned of what they meant by that. So,
well, I used to be a woman. Yeah.
Because he talked about our matching outfits, and then he said I performed a miracle, and I was like,
Yeah.
why did he not match before?
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. I actually know what he's talking about. But I said, I have no idea what he's talking about. Yes, he's talking about us matching, about us being twinsies. And I didn't even think of that when I took pictures of our legs and feet.
Oh, yeah, right.
I just thought that we were sitting there. I thought that'd be a fun picture. Yeah, but
maybe Barbara will tell me why it's a miracle.
No, Barbara, I love you. I love you. Your family.
Just DM me.
Your family. Glad you come on camera and use the platform to talk about these issues. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that since we've been doing these things and since I've been doing them, people have been giving us good feedback that these are things that, a lot of times people want to think or want to hear somebody else talk about the things that they are secretly thinking about and don't say out loud.
Yeah.
Right? You go, oh, thank God, there's somebody else. There's somebody else that thinks they're stupid, moronic, dimwit, satanic idiots. It's just not me.
No, for sure not.
And there's no way a Democrat could be a Christian. It's impossible. You're right. If you've been thinking about that, you're absolutely correct because Eddie has said so.
Right. Okay.
I didn't say that. I merely asked you the question.
Oh my God.
You said. How that is so not true.
Deborah, that is so
I
sweet.
smile all the time. Maybe not as big. All right, we're gonna go back to watching our show. If none of you, we brought it up a couple times, right? If you have not seen A Million Little Things,
such a good show.
It's such a good show.
Makes Andy cry every now and then.
Why?
I mean, everybody knows you cry. You cry during the devotionals.
Well,
it's the cutest thing.
The cutest thing.
I mean, such a tough man is so in touch with his feelings that he could cry every now and then. I think it's the most awesome thing. It really is. It's very manly of him.
My kids make me cry.
Yes.
Dang it. Oh, I don't know what happened to me. I'm a mess.
Calling you giddy.
Whatever. People see now. People are commenting about this. This isn't as controversial, apparently. They're all staying inside. I'm not getting into the Democrats or dimwits discussion, or they're satanic or demonic, and they are. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that. All right, I'm gonna be better. You just stared at me like, I just told you not to do that. My dog cried too occasionally, and I love it. Oh, yes. Yeah, well, good. I'm glad I'm not alone in my manliness.
Yes.
The manliness comes out in my tears. Ooh,
yeah.
That's the title of a book.
Is it?
Wow, you just got all breathy. You just got all breathy. Are you okay? Is this a night that I need to lock my door? Wow. That was awesome.
You're crazy.
Yeah. Yes. Did you guys hear that? Am I the only one? I need to stay on a couple of seconds to see if anybody else heard that. I'm locking the door of my room. I've been leaving it open thinking that I'm safe.
In case I have a night terror, you can come and save me.
I put a little bell on my doorknob so I can hear you coming. It's the one that we used to use when a dog needed to go outside. He'd ring the bell. You don't know that on my door. I put it. If I go to sleep and I put it on my doorknob, and I go to sleep angelically with my.
You made me blush.
That was amazing, though. I hope I'm gonna watch the replay. I never watch the replays, but I'm watching the replay. Yes. All right, my friends. And we don't drink.
God.
This is the crazy thing. We don't drink.
Not a drop.
Not a drop, which is I don't know. Kind of crazy. All right, my friends. We love you so much. Thank you for putting up with this. I really thought this is a discussion I had to have because it's current. It's what was going on my Facebook page. And I just love the people that comment on my Facebook page and tell me what not to say. Wait, this is my Facebook page.
Get off my page. Go on your own page.
What are you telling me? I never go on your Facebook and tell you what to post and what not to say. You dimwits. Oh, gosh, darn it. I did it again. All right, my friends. We love you. And
have a
you know
blessed
what?
night. That's Kaiser calling.
Yes, it is. All right. Got to go. Kaiser's calling. They want to apologize for canceling. No, they're not calling to apologize. All right, my friends. We love you. God bless.
God bless.